Good afternoon. Welcome to Football League World TV. It is Monday afternoon. It's time for another edition of the EFL Transfer Zone. My name is Sam Rourke, the Chief Editor of Football League World.co.uk, and I'm joined by two of my colleagues, Ben Wignall and Chris Gallagher. Ben, how are you getting on this afternoon?
Yeah, all good, Sam. This time next week we'll be thick into, deadline day. We'll be all scrambling for the latest transfer news, and hopefully some of these deals we'll be talking about, some of them might be further down the line by then. Some of them have already done so. Looking forward to talking about them.
Yeah, as Ben says, not long left of the January transfer window, only a week to go. Chris, how are you getting on?
Yeah, not bad as well. Just looking, it's going to be pretty hectic, I think, isn't it? A lot of clubs have got a lot of stuff that they need to get done. So see how it goes.
Absolutely. We are going to be broadcasting an EFL Transfer Zone show every single day this week at 4 o'clock. So make sure you stay tuned to all of our channels here at Football League World TV. We are broadcasting, as we usually do, on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. So make sure to get your comments in. We will get them up during this show and discuss them. Let's get straight into it. So we're going to run through a few done deals that happened over the course of the last few days. Let's start off with Millwall. They completed the signing of Oliver Burke on loan from Sheffield United. Burke's found it hard to break into the team at Bramall Lane. He's never really got going ever since his kind of breakthrough season at Nottingham Forest a couple of seasons ago. Ben, let's come to you then. He did come off the bench for Millwall on the weekend. What do you make of this signing then from a Millwall perspective, Oliver Burke?
Well, considering he's a natural winger, I know he came to Sheffield United, that swap deal with Callum Robinson, because Chris Wilder played, he was kind of like, shoehorned into that kind of striker role, whether it was off the bench or the occasional start. And I think Gary Rowett's nowadays is playing a similar system to, how Wilder did at Sheffield United, like a 3-5-2, 3-4-1-2 kind of system. So it is a bit of a puzzling one for me. I think obviously being a natural winger, I expect him to go somewhere that did, utilise those kind of wingers, that kind of system. But when you look around the Championship, there's not that many teams who use that nowadays. There's a lot of, wing backs going on. So I think if he's coming in, as a striker, obviously Tom Bradshaw's injured now for a little bit. So he will get his chances. But I don't think it's a great signing for Millwall. Obviously, he needs to kind of rejuvenate his career somewhere. He's only 24 years old, and I think he's just feel like quite a while ago now he had that kind of electric, time with Nottingham Forest when he was coming through. But I think it's a bit of a bizarre one to me, and I don't exactly think he's if Jed Wallace does go, I think we'll touch on if he's a replacement for him in a minute. But I don't think he's a kind of a Jed Wallace-esque player where he's going to create something out of nothing. He definitely tries hard. He's definitely a willing runner, but I don't think he's going to guarantee the goal. So I think it's a bit of a puzzling one for me, this.
Yeah, I suppose there are too many unknowns about Oliver Burke right now. We haven't seen the best of him over the last few seasons. I must admit, when I saw him breaking through at Forest and he moved to RB Leipzig for that considerable amount of money, I really did expect him to kick on in Germany, but it never seemed to work for Burke, and it hasn't since. Chris, do you think he could suit that system at Millwall?
No, I'd have the same concerns that Ben's just raised there, because he's about pace, and then if you're playing up front, obviously you're running from you're making different runs that he's not accustomed to, and he'd prefer to get the ball to feet, I think, to go straight at a player, which isn't going to happen as often when you are as a striker. So yeah, but I think Millwall's financial position means they're going to have to take risks on players. They need numbers in the final third, because touch on the players they've just lost, and they clearly Burke was a good player. He has got qualities that a manager will always back themselves to bring out, and Rowett's obviously doing that here. But yeah, it is a tough one. He's just hoping that things are going to click for him, and if they do, he can be a threat, obviously, because his pace, his size, he's always going to be physically be able to go up against players. So I suppose they'll be working on the basis that we need to take a risk, and this is a player who has had potential, and as we mentioned, he's only 24, so he's still got time to get his career back on track.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say, he does need a fresh start somewhere, and he'll be hoping that is at Millwall this season. Any Lions fans watching this, get yourself in the comments. What do you make of the addition of Oliver Burke? How do you think he fared when he played on the weekend? Let us know. Okay, let's touch on another done deal, this time in League One. MK Dons have completed the signing of Connor Wickham on a free transfer until the end of the season. Wickham did spend the first half of this campaign at Preston North End, but it wasn't the most productive of stints for the player at Deepdale. Only 2 appearances and was struggling with injury. It's been a trend of Wickham's career over the last few years, plagued with injury, but he signed for Liam Manning's MK Dons. Ben, I'll come to you naturally first. We were saying just off air that you didn't actually get to see too much of Wickham in a Preston shirt. Do you think he's got what it takes to cut it at League One level?
Well, I think obviously it all depends on his fitness, like you alluded to. He has had his, injury struggles over the years. He trialled with PNE for a month without, getting hurt, played in a few reserve games, and then, he came on against West Brom for a cameo, and then lasted only 5 minutes against Cheltenham before, picking up a hamstring injury, which kept him out for a few months, and that was the last I saw of him as a PNE player. So I think he was always coming with the risks to PNE of that kind of thing happening, and unfortunately it did. But I think stepping down to League One level, it's a level he's not played at in a long time if at all. I think when he came through Ipswich, they were in the Championship. So I think going down to League One level, he's definitely got the natural ability. It's just whether or not he can stay fit. And I think linking up with a coach in Liam Manning, who coached him at youth level at Ipswich, might end up getting the best out of him. He can put an arm around him if things aren't going too well. And if he's fit, he definitely offers a different option to the likes of Mo Isa, Troy Parrott. He's definitely a more physical than both those two, and he can provide a focal point for the likes of Isa and Scott Twine to work off. So if he does stay fit, I think this could be a bit of a shrewd addition. I can't imagine he'll command too much of a wage, considering the lack of games he's had in recent years. So this could end up either being a shrewd one or one that will seem like a waste of money if he does end up being on the treatment table.
Yeah, like you say, he does offer a different dimension to what MK Dons have got in their current attacking arsenal, different to Mo Isa and Troy Parrott. We saw Max Watters depart MK Dons in this window. He was recalled by his parent club, Cardiff City. He'd found his feet really at MK Dons in recent months, found the score sheet a fair few times. So fair to say it's a bit of a blow for MK Dons to lose Max Watters. Obviously, Matt O'Reilly's left as well. Chris, do you think Wickham can kind of come in and fill that void left by Watters?
Well, I think he can if he can stay fit, but again, it's hard. I feel sorry for Wickham, but yeah, it's the big problem with him, isn't it? So if he does stay fit, he does have a good physicality and he can lead the line. And I would expect him to score, so he would be a good replacement in that sense. It's just, can he stay fit? And I think with O'Reilly leaving, obviously he's a midfielder and a completely different player, but he's scored 7 goals for them, so that's a big chunk of goals that they've lost there. So they might have to adapt. So then, if you do bring Wickham in, it's just maybe gives you a different way to play, and that is something they might have to consider after losing O'Reilly as well, who was so key to them. So I think I think it's on a short-term deal. It's worth taking that chance, because if he does stay fit, I'm sure he will be a very good option in League One.
Yeah, absolutely. Any MK Dons fans watching this show, get in touch. What do you make of the addition of Connor Wickham in this January transfer window? Right, let's touch on another done deal then. Stoke City have confirmed the signing of Jaden Philogene-Bidace on loan from Aston Villa. The 19-year-old, very, very highly rated at Villa Park by Steven Gerrard, but he's completed the move to Michael O'Neill's Stoke City. Did actually feature on the weekend in their 3-2 defeat to Fulham. Came on and actually nearly scored, scuffed his opportunity as he showed some really nice trickery to get into the position he did, but scuffed his final shot. But looks a real talent there for Stoke City this season. Ben, what do you make of this addition? Do you think it adds something a little bit different to what Stoke already have?
Yeah, I think it does. He looks impressive in his cameo from what I saw in Fulham. I had a quick Twitter search to see what Stoke fans were saying there. Seems to be, very excited with what they saw in his, brief time on the pitch. And like I said, he did have that chance quite late on. He looks to have a lot of, trickery and flair, and he definitely offers something different. They've got, I think, with the way Michael O'Neill sets up, he's another manager who likes to use 3 at the back, so the wing backs will provide the width, even though Bidace is a winger by trade. Could be used in the number 10. I know he did come on in the left of a front 3 when they were going for an equaliser. And I think Tom Ince is like one of the other options out there, and he's flattered to deceive for most of his time at Stoke, even though he's kind of having a little bit of a purple patch at the minute. I did the debate show with Ben Rowley last week, Stoke fan. He seemed concerned at the time that this could go in the way of, they signed Jack Clark and Barry Matondo last season, both young attacking wingers, and they came in and didn't make much of an impact. But I think Bidas is a completely different option. He's got a lot of size to him compared to Clark and Matondo, who are quite slight figures. And I think with that kind of power and pace Bidas seems to have, I think he should be able to, cope just fine in the Championship.
Yeah, I suppose this is another sign of Stoke City kind of changing the tide in terms of bringing in a lot more youth. Over the last few seasons, they've had to rely on a lot of experienced heads to kind of navigate them through the seasons. But, signing someone like Bidas, who's got bags of potential and bags of talent at such a young age, does suggest a kind of changing of the tide. Chris, we also saw DiMaggio Wright-Phillips feature in the last few games for Stoke City as well. He also scored on the weekend. Do you think this is the kind of the right way for Stoke City to progress as a football team, to start investing in youth and start utilising youth players a lot more in that team?
Yeah, I think it's been forced on them after we know how much they spent when they came down. You just obviously can't keep doing that. But I think the fans love, especially Wright-Phillips, because he's one of their own players. It's great to see these exciting young players come through. And even in the 5-minute spell that the new lad had from Villa had at the weekend, you could see he was all about skill. He was trying to take players on, and the fans, you get behind that, don't you? That's what you want to see. I think for Stoke, scoring goals is the problem. They don't. I think in the top 10, there's only Borough who've scored fewer than them, and it's down to creativity. The formation doesn't help, but you need individuals in the final third who are going to do something a bit different. So these are the sort of players that O'Neill's right to be targeting, and now it's to hoping that they can score the goals that will keep them or push them into the top 6 by May.
Yeah, certainly a player to keep your eyes on over the remainder of this campaign. Does look like a very, very exciting talent at the Bet365 Stadium. Right, let's look at some more news next. Swansea City confirmed the signing of Borussia Mönchengladbach attacking midfielder Hans Wolf over the last few days. A 22-year-old attacking midfielder did actually sign for £8 million from RB Leipzig a few seasons ago. A player with very, very high potential. By all accounts, he was in a Zoom call with Russell Martin and was very impressed with what Russell Martin had to say about Swansea City, the way they play football and how they intend to progress as a football team. That kind of attracted the interest of Hans Wolf. Ben, I suppose it's fair to say you probably haven't seen too much of Hans Wolf play on a regular basis, but the noises coming out from this transfer deal suggest it's quite an exciting coup, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. He's obviously gone for quite a bit of money in his, short career from, Salzburg to Leipzig, then Leipzig to Mönchengladbach. I think the transfer fees tally somewhat like around 18 million. So he's clearly got something about him. He came on Saturday against PNE and looked to be, pretty bright. I think it might take him a few substitute appearances to get, fully up to speed to, get a full 90 minutes under his belt. But considering he's got Bundesliga experience, I don't think you can, doubt the quality he possesses. A lot of people who do watch the Bundesliga seem to rate him and think he will take the Championship by storm. And I think they'll be hoping that he can play alongside the likes of Jamie Patterson instead of, being the replacement for him. Hopefully his contract situation is still to be, kind of resolved. But I think with the Wolf and Patterson, if they can, sort that out, Olivier Ntcham, I think that's a really good, trio to support Joel Pirro up front, even if all three of them aren't particularly on the pitch at the same time very often. I do think that Wolf does give him an extra dimension going forward, and it's the kind of signing that you think will look to push him up the table in the near future.
Yeah, I must admit, I did do a bit of research on Hans Wolf, looking into his style of play, watched a few clips of how he kind of operates on the pitch and very much likes to progress with the ball forward, make things happen in the final third, whilst also has a bit of grit and tenacity about him, which you'd imagine will sit in well in the Sky Bet Championship. Chris, what do you make of this signing?
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting one. Like, as you say, we're only going. I haven't seen too much of him, but what you read and what you see, it looks like he should be playing at a higher than a bottom half championship side. So for Swansea to bring him in is a real great bit of business, and it shows Martin, even though results have been inconsistent, it shows people on the outside are believing in what he's saying. They can see the direction the team are going, and they want to be part of it. So yeah, I think, as you said, with Patterson, I think that situation is pretty ridiculous, really. That how it's come to this, which is a shame because he was doing so well. But they need a progressive thinking midfielder, and Wolf looks like he does tick the box here. I think it's one of the biggest signings of the window so far.
Yeah, it does seem like a coup for sure. Swansea City fans, if you're watching this, what did you make of his cameo appearance on the weekend? Do you think he's got some real quality? We'd love to get your thoughts. Right, let's look at some more news next. Ben, looks like you've got a friend in this afternoon's EFL Transfer Zone show. Nice to see Holly. I assume it's Holly making an appearance for this one. Let's look at some more news, though. We're going to be talking about Preston. Preston this afternoon confirmed the signing of Cameron Archer on loan from Aston Villa. Again, a very, very highly rated prospect coming through the ranks at Villa Park. By all accounts, Steven Gerrard's relationship with Ryan Lowe helped this deal come to fruition. Ben, I think we spoke a couple of weeks ago with regards to Preston and the need for a new striker. What do you make of the addition of Archer?
Well, I think, striker was essential. Look at the options we've got. Obviously, Emil Rees is, the only kind of prolific goal scorer we've had, and even his goal against Sheffield United was the first one in 2 months. I think Ched Evans won't get you regular goals, even though he does have a lot of effort in his game. And I think Sean Maguire and Scott Sinclair haven't been good enough this season. So I think it was a very needed addition. I think Ryan Law's kind of played this perfectly with his links to Steven Gerrard. The friendship kind of goes back to being at Liverpool together. So getting kind of in there of Aston Villa with the youth players they've got, I think it's never a bad thing. Could be the first of many, to be fair. There's quite a few Villa players I'd like to get us to get in, but with Archie, he's kind of got a reputation already, for he scored against Chelsea in the EFL Cup. He's already had senior appearances. So I think it's a very exciting signing. It's one that he looks like a player who could come straight in, and I know he's somewhat untested in men's football. He's not had many games to show what he's about, but I think he's definitely one that, the North End fans have got behind, and he's a player that can, he looks exciting, he can finish, he's got pace. That's exactly what we need up front.
He's been very prolific at kind of youth level for Aston Villa over the last few seasons, so certainly seems to know where the back of the net is. I'll just come to you then finally on Chris. Chris, he's a very mobile striker, lots of pace. I suppose he adds a bit of a different dimension to what kind of Preston have already got.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and obviously Ben knows more than us, doesn't he, about Preston? So when he's saying they need a striker and this type of player, can't really argue. Yeah, I think I remember him. I think he scored a hat trick against Barrow as well for Villa in the cup, and it was the finishing. You were like this. Obviously, Villa had a lot of quality in the team, but he was taking the goals well. I think at Chelsea it was a good finish as well. So you're like, this is a player who now needs this next step, and it's obviously not going to happen at Villa, but he'll be at this season. But so this is a good move for him. It's good you move from Lowe using his friendship with Gerrard. So yeah, it looks like it's one all round, and it will certainly help Preston for the rest of the season.
Yeah, again, another exciting addition to the Sky Bet Championship this season. You feel another player to keep a close eye on for sure. Right, let's look at some more news next. This is a deal that sounds like it's very imminent. Sheffield United are close to signing goalkeeper Adam Davies from Stoke City. We've seen Olsen and Verrips leave Sheffield United in this transfer window, so that the need for a new goalkeeper was definitely there. Heckingbottom worked with Adam Davies during their time at Barnsley together, and even made him captain for a brief period as well. Ben, I'll come to you. Adam Davies, a Welsh international as well, 29 bags of experience. What do you make of this particular move from a Blades perspective?
It's an interesting one, because obviously Davies he was quite important when he was at Barnsley, wasn't he? He was a pretty good keeper, and that's why he got the move to Stoke, which was kind of an upward move at the time. But since then, I think Joseph Bursic has become the first choice, and it's only because of injury that Davis has kind of got back in the team this season, and he has he's not been too convincing at times this season. And I think Wes Fodringham's recent form for Sheffield United, he's had a great game at Deepdale on last week, so don't think he'll be going in there straight away as a starting keeper. I know he's kind of Heckingbottom's man, having worked with him at Barnsley, but I think Sheffield United fans may have expected either someone younger or more, a bit of a name to come in and kind of displace Foderingham. I think this kind of signing is more competition rather than a immediate first choice. He's still a good keeper, Davis, but the fact that Foderingham is playing quite well right now, I don't think you can just expect to walk in there straight away, even though he's got games under his belt. I think until Foderingham does have a poor game, he'll still be in the having the starting jersey. It's an average enough signing, I think, with Sheffield United. I think they could potentially do a bit better than Davis, but he's certainly a steady championship goalkeeper in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a clear indication that Paul Heckingbottom's got a very firm stance and kind of control over the transfers in this window. We know over the past few seasons, the kind of conflict the owners and Chris Wilder had in particular when it came to transfers, but this seems like a Paul Heckingbottom decision. Chris, what do you make of this one?
Yeah, I think it's a decent move. I think all the talk from Sheffield United is they're like cutting back the money. It's not there, but they need to start preparing for the future. So yeah, when you lose Robin Olsen, I thought he'd do well, but he didn't work out at all. So I think he was on massive wages. So now you're bringing Davies. It's not going to be the same cost, and he's good competition for Foderingham. I think they're two decent goalies to have, which is what every club in the Championship would want. So yeah, I think it's quite a smart signing. Not going to excite the fans too much, but they've got two decent keepers now, which is how it should be.
Yeah, so I suppose the general consensus is it's more of a sensible signing rather than a glamorous signing, this particular deal. As we understand it, this will happen imminently, this particular deal. Right, let's look at one more piece of VFL transfer news next. Nottingham Forest have had a £500,000 bid rejected by Derby County for Festi Ebosele. Obviously, the two teams clashed on the weekend. Ebosele played in that particular fixture. He's become a real shining light for the Rams this season, really emerging from that kind of academy at Derby County. Only 19, has also featured for the Republic of Ireland national team as well. Can play right back or right midfield, bags of pace, very strong on the ball, does look like a real top player in the making. Ben, what do you make of this whole situation? Do you think the Derby were well within their rights to reject this move?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's been a bit of a cheeky bid, Forest I think they've tried to get Buchanan in the summer as well, and now they're obviously using the Derby situation to try and kind of lowball them, although Ebosele his contract does run out in the summer. I think the report I've seen suggested that it was Ebosele who actually turned down the move. I don't know if the administrators gave him the option. I don't know if they're considering it or not, but I think you either reject the move. I think that endears him a lot more to, the Derby fans kind of shows his loyalty. But if a Premier League club comes calling with that kind of offer, could be accepted. I think he's definitely talented anyway. I think from what I've seen of him this season, he looks like an exciting player, can play all down that right-hand side, and perhaps Forest see him as, the kind of long-term Jed Spence replacement. He's kind of in the similar mould to Spence, who's, attacking kind of wing back, and I don't think they can keep him long-term unless they get promoted this season. But I don't think he'll end up going to Forest Ebosele. The bid might have been enough, but if he's turned them down, I can't see him, changing his stance if they come back with a better offer. But if Premier League clubs come calling, I can see Derby being at risk of losing, another talented teenager after Dylan Williams left for Chelsea this week.
Obviously, the future of Brennan Johnson at Nottingham Forest continues to be a key talking point at the City Ground. Brentford very keen on signing him in this window, although Forest are demanding a fee in the region of £20 million. For any EFL fans, Chris, that haven't seen Ebosele in action, how would you describe him?
Well, I think he's great to watch, isn't he? With his energy and his pace, he's just non-stop. Really, he's a bit raw, but he's just a young lad who's come in, and he's just non-stop. He's quick, he's strong, he's direct, and that's exactly how you'd want to watch a player like that. He doesn't mess about. yeah, he's a good young player. There's obviously aspects of his game that can improve, but that's bound to be the case considering his age at 19. So yeah, I think you can understand why Forest are interested, and you can understand you'd expect there to be a lot more, especially given his contract situation and Derby. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to hear a lot more about him in the next week, because it would be a good pickup for someone, I think. But he's obviously, I think the one good thing for Derby's situation is the amount of young players they've given a chance to this year, and he's the latest one to take advantage of it. So he'll actually be enjoying himself at Derby, playing week in, week out. And yeah, I think he should end the season with them if he can. But there's going to be a lot of talk about him in either this window or the next one.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I imagine plenty of potential suitors to be sniffing around Ebersole over the next week, given his impact for Derby County this season. Rams fans, get in touch in the comments. What do you make of Festi Ebersole's time at Derby County this season? Do you expect him to move on in the remaining 7 days of the transfer window? Please do let us know. Right. Well, that concludes today's episode of the EFL Transfer Zone here on Football League World TV. As I mentioned at the top end of the show, we're going to be broadcasting the Transfer Zone every single day this week at 4 o'clock. So make sure you stay tuned to that. If you're watching this on repeat on YouTube, make sure to stick a like in below the video and also subscribe. If you are new, we do appreciate all the new subscribers that come and join us here at Football League World TV. We've got several shows coming up for you on tomorrow's agenda. We're talking all things Shrewsbury Town tomorrow morning. They've seen a recent upturn in form under Steve Cotterill. We've got the EFL midweek preview as well. There's a handful of games on Tuesday night and Wednesday as well. And as I've already mentioned, at 4 o'clock, we've got the EFL Transfer Zone once again. But from myself, Ben, and Chris, we shall see you soon.